Not too many people know, but when I was quitting my first show, I was told that you'll be reduced to a ZTV actor. I said, chal yaar, अब तो ZTV actor ही बन के रह जाते हैं. If no TRPs, and I said, oh shit. मैं कहा अब तो इससे भी छोटा चैनल सब TV पे करता हूँ.
Becoming an actor and becoming a star, are these two completely different professions?
You were asking someone who wanted to be a good actor but was in the first show itself was labeled as a star. When I was quitting the show, my argument was that मत खींचो इसको, हो गया अभी. They made me understand the math. Now is the time to make money. अभी 100 crore कमा लिए इसने. क्या मुझे बता सकता है कोई जो शो 8 साल चला होगा उसने कितने पैसे कमाए होंगे? Television community themselves, they made films look way superior and they probably live with that inferiority complex themselves. For all the reality shows, why would they never get anyone from television? जिस दिन टेलीविजन के लोगों को पद्मश्री मिलना शुरू हो जाएगा. People have never understood this. They say this film made 35 crore and this one just made 3 crores. They never mention that even if this film had 100% occupancy, we are fooling each other. We know about the numbers. We all know what are fudged.
This is a conversation with Rajeev Khandelwal. He is an actor popularly known for his role in the insanely popular TV serial Kahin and Left Right Left. He's also known for movies like Amir, Table Number 21 and Shaitan, and web series like Showtime and Amar Vishwas. He's also hosted the reality show Sach Ka Saamna. In this conversation, we talk about his journey into acting. Why acting, of all things? What was so attractive about it? We talk about his struggles getting into the industry, the obstacles he faced along the way. We cover the craft of acting, the different techniques and how it applies to formats like television, OTT or films, the different approach to hosting a reality show. We also cover the business side of the entertainment industry, the problems with that. And then we also cover some of the stereotypes in the industry and his very unconventional journey and how it worked out for him. And now, it's no time.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
जब आप 3rd grade में थे तो एक दिन स्कूल में आपने एक मैक्सिकन डांस परफॉर्मेंस किया था. You were dressed up as a girl in a frock and you were performing with this girl who was dressed up as a boy. और आपने एक छोटी गलती कर दी थी तो आपकी मम्मी ने आपको बहुत डांटा था और उस दिन आपने ठान ली थी कि मैं इनको एक्टर बन के दिखाऊंगा. फिर 7th grade में आपको डीडी पंजाबी के एक शो नंदू का चिराग में रोल मिला था. पापा ने बोला इतने दिन स्कूल से आपको छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगी, स्क्रिप्ट आपके सामने फाड़ दी. फिर लेटर इन लाइफ जब कॉलेज से काफ़ी रिजेक्शन आने लगे, आपने अपने पेरेंट्स को जाके बोला मुझे एक एक्टर बनना है. बहुत लड़ाई हुई घर पे, आपने उनके पैसे फाड़ दिए उनके सामने, घर से बाहर निकाल दिया था. इन ऑल दिस इंस्टेंसेस you were ready to push through all these setbacks because you were sure in your mind कि मुझे actor बनना है. I want to start there. Why acting? You've often said that you're good at many things in life. So why acting? What is the power of acting? What does acting mean to you?
First and foremost, the research is bang on. Whatever you dug out about my past, yes. So acting, why I still do not have the answer. I think somewhere when I look back, I feel that it was more about overcoming my failures, a couple of failures when it comes to acting. It's all started off with, of course, the failure on stage, and then later on in life when I was not given the opportunity. It started building up like that, and then I think so. It's a funny thing. Each time I've been on stage, I remember. I mean, in school, in colleges, I've never ever given a smashing performance. I don't remember any event of mine where I had given a smashing performance. That made me believe, that would have made me believe that, you could be an actor. In fact, I've always had failures which were ranked very high. In a sense, for example, if I go on for an elocution thing on stage, I'm standing up on stage and I forget my subject. I am performing somewhere and I'm so nervous that I actually retract, midway somewhere. And people start clapping and I get awarded for that. I remember I was doing this mimicry competition in school. And I was there on stage because I was the last minute thing who was pushed into mimicry, and I was not a mimicry artist. But there was nobody representing my house. And so they said, okay, Rajeev, tu ja, because vice captain hai, you have to go. And I went up on stage and I remember I was copying somebody else and I did something. I still remember ek ladki us time pe, how do two girls talk? That was what I was mimicking. I said, okay, Ghuri, the tall fellow Ghuri, yaar. Arey Gurinder, yaar, you know what happened? Kal wo mere ghar pe aaya, usne aise kiya, वैसा किया. And I just, while I was doing all of this, I got so nervous that I had to stop somewhere in midway. And I said, thank you so much. And maybe the others were so bad that I was given the first prize. I mean, I did a little more. So for me, I think somewhere it has been to prove it to myself that I am an actor. Also, now that you said, and I'm looking back and I'm dissecting my own case, I think somewhere, each time I went up on stage, I felt it was one of the best things to experience, being up on stage and looking at people and then making them believe into something, holding their attention, engaging them. I mean, I wanted to master the whole art. I wanted to do all of that stuff. Somewhere also, I think that Nandu Ka Chirag, when I did audition for that one in class 7th, I was in Jalandhar, I remember. That when I'd gone for the audition of that one, made me believe that I could be very good at this. Not that I'm very good at this, I could be very good at this. And that stayed with me. And then post-college, after I got regret letters from all IMs and XLRIs in Jamshedpur, I realized that, listen, this is not what you want to do. What you've been really secretly want to do is maybe go up on stage and perform and engage people, and this is your calling. And then, yeah, nothing succeeds like success. So acting today means a lot to me. After having crossed over, after having passed that initial phase of time when you come to Mumbai and you start working and you're still learning you're taking baby steps and you're understanding what acting is all about. Today, it is completely about playing a character and living a life. It's actually living a life while you are up in front of the camera. Sometimes I know that I'm not the best at it, but there is still that whole hunger to improve, hunger to learn. So yeah.
You said this journey started from a lot of failures, a lot of rejection. Ayn Rand ने एक book लिखी थी, Fountainhead, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था, throughout the centuries, there were men who took first steps down new roads, armed with nothing
but their vision.
But their own vision. Their goals differed, but they all had this in common. That the step was first, the road new, and the vision unborrowed. And the response they received, hatred. The great creators, the thinkers, the artists, the scientists, the inventors stood alone against the men of their time. Every great new thought was opposed. Every great new invention was denounced. The first motor was considered foolish. The airplane was considered impossible. The power loom was considered vicious. Anesthesia was considered sinful. But the men of unborrowed vision went ahead. They fought, they suffered, and they paid. But they won.
It still gives me goosebumps, man.
जब आप घर छोड़ के गए तो आप प्लेटफॉर्म पे सोते थे, कई रातें आपने उधर गुजारी, पेंटिंग्स बेचते थे पैसे कमाने के लिए. जब आप बॉम्बे आए, हर सुबह गोरेगांव ईस्ट से तारदियो, वहाँ चेक किया कौन से ऑडिशन से, फिर वहाँ से महालक्ष्मी. कई बार आप ऑडिशन में पहुँचे, पता चला कि इट वाज ओनली फॉर women, not for men. Where are you getting this unborrowed vision from? कभी बैठ के इंट्रोस्पेक्ट किया, this resolve, all these failures, all these rejections, but despite that, this motivation, determination, push passes, कहाँ से आ रहा है ये unborrowed vision?
I do not know. I don't know whether I was trying to imitate Howard Roark or was it always there in me. When I look back in my life, I think right from my childhood, I always wanted to create. It is just me as a person.
You have to be born with it?
Possibly, I was. I remember incidents. Now that you're saying, I remember incidents. I remember each time I had to gift something to my mom or make something. Or mom would live as simple as my mom asking me to make a cup of tea for her. With 3 brothers, and she asking me to make a cup of tea for her. She had taught me how to make tea, but I would improvise. I wanted to give something of my own. I remember I had said this in one of my TED talks when I was in class, I think again, 6th or 5th or something. And I had to get ready for a party where there were a lot of girls from the army cantonment. They were going to come and she wanted to impress all the girls. And I remember my parents wouldn't give us enough money to spend on clothes and things like that, limited income. And I wanted to create something. I said, चल कुछ थोड़ा fashionable बनते हैं. तो मैं washroom में गया, bathroom में देखा, मैं sink के पास में गया, and sink के ऊपर एक cap होती है हमेशा, sink, तो उसकी chain होती है. I pulled that out, hung it here. I don't know what I was doing, but I knew that I'm creating something. I could have borrowed an outfit from a friend of mine. But I wanted to always do that. I hate, like my wife knows, each time she suggests something, for example, if we were to change the decor of the house, I hate going to Pinterest. I hate going for a reference anywhere. And I tell her that, you know what, we have a brain, let's create. And I would actually make drawings, hideous ones sometimes, and I understand. But then it's at least mine. It's original. We have a house in Goa. Whatever I create is completely it comes from my brain, my mind, my idea, my thought, my perception, my outlook. It's never borrowed. So I think maybe it is a part of me that I hate. I hate borrowing support. I hate borrowing anything. I mean, is one of the reasons why I never hired people who would help me. I didn't want to hire people to get me success, which would eventually mean that I'm borrowing something from someone. And I still want to, and I would do it till my last breath. Feel deserving of whatever I do, and I would hate it if I knew that there is a contribution of someone in making me who I am. So I think that's just me. Nothing great, but yeah, that's just me.
Speaking of things that you have to be born with, आप अक्सर कहते थे कि दो राजीव खंडेलवाल है, एक राजीव है और एक राजीव का caretaker. I have to preserve him like a national property. You think this mindset is not just important but necessary in this industry? Ki you need to have that level of hyping yourself up, that confidence in yourself, that at least that element of self-preservation. क्योंकि ये industry इतनी cutthroat है कि if you don't look after yourself, there's so many distractions, you'll just lose yourself.
I'll be honest, I do not know whether it works for everyone or not. This worked for me. And I'm nobody to give advice or guidance to people because I think we all eventually behave the way we wish to. You know, our real self. How much ever I teach you, how much ever I tell you, I think you will always react the way you're made and the way you look at life. So for me, I realized, I think in all those times when I was all by myself, be it in Delhi, when I was trying to reach Mumbai, I figured one thing, that it is only me who's going to bail me out. Nobody else can bail me out. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in many things. But while I was there, when I was, like you said, I was selling those paintings, I would have millions of conversations with myself, sitting there and saying, okay, so here you are. And I remember I was in Ashok Vihar in Delhi. I used to stay there at somebody's outhouse. And I would be sitting because I had enough time in the world. I would be sitting and I would chat with myself and say, okay, here we are. Now, there are people who are probably thinking Rajeev is going to go down the drain. Rajeev is probably one of those guys who thought that just because people tell him that he's good looking, he wanted to be an actor without a purpose in life. And I would just see my parents hearing that, me hearing that. And I said, no, I will never ever be someone who I would dislike. I don't want to dislike myself. It all started from there. And from there, I think the whole fact that in all those troubled times, I figured actually there is nobody who's coming to help me out. Nobody knows what is happening in my life. I'm sitting there. I could actually be pitying myself. You know, Rajeev, okay, तेरे साथ में क्यों हो रहा है? तेरे साथ में ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? You know, तेरे को chance नहीं मिल रहा. Or I go out there and fight. And that is what happened. So this whole idea of pushing myself came from the fact that I didn't have too many people pushing me. So I had to come out of my system and say, okay, this is how it is. Secondly, I think I had a very high self-esteem. I said, I will not let myself go. I mean, I won't waste myself, and there has to be someone who's putting those checks. So while let's say in the 18s or the 17s, when friends are partying and going out and then calling out, and I would say that, okay, no, I can't let Rajeev go out. He cannot smoke, he cannot drink. You know, if he's wasting himself, no, get him back. So there was actually this alter ego, or there was this other Rajeev Khandelwal who was guiding me. And it helped me. It just helped me. I do not know about others. Like you said, I used to write things on every part of my room. The mirror, my wardrobe. Manjari, when she came in my life and she'd come to my house for the first time and she opened the cupboard. And of course, I had become an actor by then. But those things were still there. I am the best. I can't waste myself. I am a national property. All of those things. So she said, she's a narcissist to another level. But I think that is what kept me going. And even now, and much later in life also, I realized that it is you. That's why I always say, believe in God, believe in luck, but most importantly, believe in yourself, because eventually that is what shows. It's your self-confidence, self-belief that shows in every situation. You can give the credit to God, you can give the credit to anything that you believe in, but the fact is that self-confidence is what will speak in any situation for anybody in any career.
आपकी जर्नी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है एंड देयर इज अ लॉट टू लर्न फ्रॉम इट. तो हम एक मास्टर क्लास शुरू करते हैं. ऐसा समझ लीजिए कि आज मैं एक स्टूडेंट आया हूँ आपके पास, नो बैकग्राउंड इन दिस एंटायर इंडस्ट्री, एंड आज आई जस्ट वांट टू पिक योर ब्रेन्स ऑल दी सिली क्वेश्चंस दैट आई हैव अबाउट एक्टिंग, अबाउट क्रिएटिंग कंटेंट, अबाउट फिल्म मेकिंग, टेलीविजन, सब क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ. ठीक है?
Ask me.
सबसे पहले आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट TV serials back in those days, but usse pehle I think we'll have to set some historical context because it's very hard to explain to people who didn't grow up in that era, this late 90s, mid 2000s ka era, ki the reach or the impact of these daily soaps or these TV serials, Kahin to Hoga, Kasauti Zindagi Ki, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kahi Bahut Thi, Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, these shows were massive. So how do I explain this to kids who have probably not grown up in that era? How would you explain it? What was the reach of these shows? What was the impact? Kya mahol tha un shows ka?
कमाल की बात ये कि ये बातें बाद में रियलाइज हुई हमें. उस टाइम व्हेन वी वर डूइंग इट वी डिडंट रियलाइज. आई डोंट रिमेंबर ever taking it seriously. In today's day and age, I know that even if someone gets like let's say a million likes, it's announced all over. It is the people start playing the whole thing to the whole world. They start amplifying the fact that somebody's post has got liked by a million people or maybe more. Back in the day, people won't relate to it also. This younger generation won't even relate to it when I say things and what we have seen. But then again, while it was happening, we weren't aware of it. So the beauty of it was I wasn't affected by all that was happening around. Like I would go back to Jaipur. The reach. Okay, let's first talk about the reach. The reach was such that not just in India, any part of the country, villages, cities, towns, you name it, and people kind of knew you. Dubai, UAE, UK, US, Australia, wherever there was Indian people, we were known there. I mean, the kind of letters that I've had, the kind of collection that I've had is insane. And I wouldn't have felt that it was insane till if I had not seen this generation. Because now I realize that they wouldn't even believe, if I open the trunks and if I tell them, something like this used to happen, they wouldn't believe it because it's unreal. I remember trying to go to a city in India where people wouldn't know you. So I used to go to Ladakh. I thought, it started off with Ladakh, Leh Ladakh, and I thought maybe people here won't know you. People knew you there. I went to Northeast. People would know you in Northeast. You go to Sikkim, you go to Arunachal, Nepal. So the reach was massive. I have done a couple of shows which was just a Rajeev Khandelwal night in Maldives. And I remember being received by presidents, I think niece or someone at the airport. And then you're going there and entire Maldives is lined up with people and it looks like as if a state guest has arrived. And I would actually look out of the window and wonder, is it for me? Are you the pilot cars and the bikes and which are after you? So it was crazy. And that was real in flesh. The difference is today, I think, again, someone who's seen that and who's seeing this, the difference is that when I see a like, or if someone says that, Rajeev, this trailer of yours has got so many likes, it doesn't do anything to me. You tell me that, Rajeev, you've got 10 million likes. It doesn't do anything to me. Because somewhere back in my head, I still feel when I'll step out of the house, I'll know how many people actually liked it. Let me gauge it by the real flesh wala reaction and not here, which is just virtual. So it doesn't do anything to me, trust me. Is why I'm not acting on social media. I don't want this love or affection or attention. Because when you've gone through that, this doesn't mean anything. And I'm literally saying it could be a demand of my career present in today's day and age, but it doesn't do anything to me. I don't get excited. I do not. That's why people ask me, why don't you put up your posts? And I say, what do I achieve out of it? Probably I would be getting so many likes out of it and I could monetize that, but I don't want to either monetize it and the likes and dislikes don't matter to me because you've seen it in flesh. That reach, I think only that generation can know. And it was fun. We used to shoot. We used to come back. Can you imagine? Now again, I'm thinking, revisiting those times, just shooting and outside the studio, there would be people and there would be women and girls who would know that the shoot is happening here. And there would be you would finish your shoot and you would step out, and then you have to go through the crowd and go into your car and sit and go. But it was still not hitting us. I don't know why. I mean, I used to get out from that crowd, sit in the car, go to Goregaon Sports Club to play lawn tennis. And we were playing, there was this guy called Shabir in my first show. Me and Shabir, we were playing lawn tennis and we were playing table tennis. And the Goregaon Sports Club used to be full of people just watching us. It would still mean nothing to us. Okay, hi, love you. And, all of that would happen. Sit in the car, go back to our house. We were completely oblivious to the fact that this is what is happening. Though, we have get off, reach my home, Jaipur. And my house had become like an attraction in Jaipur because I'm from Jaipur. Only thing I used to like was the attention that my parents were getting. Rajeev Ka Ghar hai. And I would be standing up on the terrace and I would hear people just walking past the house saying, "Ki Rajeev Ka Ghar hai, wo aaya nahi, mujhe suna hai, maine aaya hua, wo aaya hua." And I'm there. And there used to be queue outside. The moment they would see, there were girls' hostel. I've said this, some girls would actually fly kites and drop the kites in my house with the notices, with messages and things like that. When you've seen all of that, it's beautiful. And I just kind of look at it as a chapter of my life, which was like really, really beautiful.
Lot of things to explore here. चलो, reach आपने बहुत ही अच्छा picture paint किया है. We'll park that aside. पहले आप craft पे focus करेंगे. What's the difference between acting for a daily soap, television serial versus a film? जैसे मैं आपको same character दे रहा हूँ. Would you portray it differently for a daily soap as compared to a movie?
I don't do that. I do not know about others. So, something which I told myself when I was doing, let's say, an Amir, and when I was doing television, left, right, left, or whichever, yeah. So when I was working in Amir, a lot of people ask this question, or they have this curiosity, do they change the approach? I think because I started from television, so I maintained that approach. What happens is if you start from films and if you're starting from films which are not realistic, where you are larger than life, you're playing larger than life character, probably then it becomes difficult to actually be real, to underplay that flamboyance, sometimes, is what I feel. Because when I was Amir, my approach was same tha. I wasn't thinking of the camera. Not that my actions were louder. They were not, I was not trying to go over the top or anything of that sort. My learning was simple. I need to be the actor. I need to be the character that I'm playing and true to my character. Nothing changed. Similarly in OTT, nothing. I mean, if your character is required to be in a certain manner, I did a show called Showtime. In Showtime, I'm playing this superstar, where I was supposed to be flamboyant. Now, I did not change my approach thinking that this is OTT, तो मैं क्या करूँ? मैं तो character flamboyant था, तो मैं तो कुछ भी कर रहा था. So while I was doing everything, the camera was capturing. So I do not think that I have changed ever my approach. I have never ever thought of the medium. My approach is just the same, that I need to be the character.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता स्क्रीन अगर आप कोई बड़े थिएटर में देख रहे हैं या छोटे स्क्रीन लैपटॉप स्क्रीन में देख रहे हैं. The acting does not change. You don't have to underplay.
For me, it doesn't change. I do not change. But I've always wondered why some people from film industry, when they tried their hands in television, did not work. They didn't buy. I'm talking about some really senior actors.
Why did that happen?
So my understanding for that was that I didn't believe that he is the character. I could see only the actor. I knew that this is that actor, and I wasn't able to digest that, no, he is playing this character, because you may create an image which is larger than life. For you, either you have to be such a consummate actor that you really convince people on watching television that, listen, I'm making you forget that I am this larger than life image that you have in your mind and I'm playing this character. I think it needs would need some kind of skill to make people forget. I'm talking about all those people who have done commercial cinema, people who have worked in films, and I'm talking about senior actors. I'm not saying that they are not good actors. Of course, they have been around for so long. There has to be a lot of reasons. You give me an example. Give me an example of an actor who was there in films. Ronit Roy, for a brief period, did films, and he was his first couple of films worked and the films didn't work. And then when we forgot Ronit Roy, he came and reinvented himself on television, and wonderfully. But barring him, I don't think anyone from feature films has ever been able to work in television, only because when you start from, I'm repeating myself, when you start from films where you are supposed to portray a larger than life character, I think it becomes a little difficult. But difficult to play a real character. But when you start from a real character, I think you can always graduate towards playing something which is larger than life. And then your learning is is full. I mean, it starts from basics. And
Okay,
then,
fundamentals are in
I
place.
think so. I would like to believe, and again, I'm not generalizing it because I can only talk from my experience.
There's a different set of skills you might need ना कि 3 घंटे के लिए अगर मुझे किसी को कन्विंस करना है कि आई एम अ कैरेक्टर probably because of the time duration easier to do, but अगर आपको 2 साल तक you have to keep someone invested in your story, then it's a complete different set of skills that you
Yeah.
require. Are there different audiences that watch TV उस ज़माने के I guess TV shows and movies?
Yes, I would say that television की एक different audience थी altogether. Films, वो लोग films भी देखते थे, but television की एक different audience थी altogether उस time पे. And I'm talking about be it metros or small towns. I have had people coming up to me from all walks of life, all stratas of society. I think everyone was consuming television then. Today, I think it has shrunk. The people who are consuming television, the audience has kind of shrunk because now you have so many options. You can watch television on OTT as well. It's available there. That audience, in my head, has definitely shifted from television to maybe OTT now, and people who are going to cinema halls now are again, people are picking up their films. People are picking up those things where they feel that it's going to be worth the money, because they always have the option of watching it on the smaller
segment
screen.
बन गया अभी.
Yeah. So also, I keep saying this, by the way, that now you're watching everything on small screen. How do you say that, working in film, because films are being released on OTT? So बात तो छोटे पर्दे पे होगी ना. अब आपने कुछ भी कर लिया. So now, if you, the same question, let's think about it, that would my approach change because I'm acting in a film, but you're being watched on a small screen. People are watching a film on a mobile phone. So your approach has to be the same. I mean, you can't say कि मैं film कर रहा हूँ, nor as a viewer, I am not making a distinction between I'm watching a film and then if I switch to watching a serial, I will not try and say, okay, ये acting तो ऐसी होती है. It has to appeal to you, whether you're watching a film or you're watching a series. So
In terms of preparation, rehearsal time, because the churn is higher for TV shows.
Yeah, TV you get very short, very, very little time to kind of prepare. So it goes on an autopilot mode, by the way, when you're doing a daily soap. And that's what I hated the most about being part of daily soaps, because you have to wake up every morning and the scripts probably come a day before that, or maybe sometimes on the sets you would get the script, because they have to churn out script after script every episode. And then after a point you realize that you keep walking through a character. At least I'm talking about myself. I do not know about others again. Is the reason why I was getting increasingly impatient when I was doing my first show, because I realized that it's an autopilot mode. De do mujhe. I just have to look in one direction. I have to do certain things, because obviously I'm not over preparing. Of course, I'm living the character. I am living that character because it's a 3-year-long or a 2-year-long, though I never lasted for more than a year and a half. But somewhere it doesn't give you scope for really working hard on everything, because daily television soaps are all about scripting, is what I believe, that people get indulged and involved in characters, not in actors. They are living the characters, and then it doesn't matter whether the actor is performing or not. Of course, you have to be a decent actor to make them believe that this is a character that exists. Beyond that, their interest is being governed by the writing, not by your acting. You're not coming back every day to watch someone perform. You're coming back to see what is happening to your character, the character that you love so much. So in films, you have to keep them engaged for those 3 hours. So a difference, I think, between films and TV would be scripting part. And it is not on the actor, that how would I hold for 3 hours. It is how the script is going to hold. And then, of course, as an actor, how would I keep them engaged for those 3 hours and not let the interest level fall. So that is the main difference, I would say. Like, for example, Amir. Let's dissect Amir. Amir was not just about performance. It was also about the way the film was put together. Every department, every actor, every technician who worked on the film. It engaged you from the word go, and it did not let you go away even for a second till the film gets over. So my approach was the same while doing television, except that I did have enough time to prep for it. I had a month. We literally, in television, you have 3 years to kind of live that character. Here, you have a month before the shooting where you live that character, and then, of course, where you prepare for the character, where you believe that you get into the world of that character, and then when the shoot starts, you're already in that world, and it just gets over in 30 days. So yeah, I mean, both are different. Approach will be different, of course, but in terms of performance, the same. Yeah.
It's very interesting diving into the craft from someone who's done both of these formats so well. आपने reach के बारे में बात की थी. Is it a challenge for at least especially those in that era or even now कि because these shows had such massive reach, fame, success, you could get lost in that success. आपको लोग आके बोलते थे, आपको तो अपनी चिट्ठियों की बात की, लोग आप खून में चिट्ठी लिखते थे आपको. Most of the women in India were in love with you. काफ़ी लोग ने आपको बोला था कि आपका एक शो हिट हो गया है तो उससे सारे पैसे कमा लेना, FD खोल लेना, जितने घर खरीद सकते हो खरीद लेना इसी एक शो से. Is that a challenge for creators, for performers? And इसलिए वो शो आप देखते थे थोड़े खिंचते जाते थे beyond the original plot itself as well, that you'll get lost in the fame and the hype of it?
See, you have to understand one thing about television is that the makers were never wrong. When I was quitting the show, my argument was that, listen, we can do season 2. मत खींचो इसको, हो गया अभी. Now the story we have done with the main storyline. Your storyline was a love story. It goes through ups and downs. And finally, the boy and the girl, they meet. Now the story should get over. रोमियो जूलियट भी खत्म हो जाती है ना जब वो मिल जाते हैं. हीर रांझा खत्म होती है. बट वो लव स्टोरी जैसे ही खत्म होती है आपका कुछ दूसरा एंगल ट्रैक शुरू हो जाता है. Only because people are now glued. People are engaged. They are invested in it. And the makers make money. The broadcasters make money after a certain point. They made me understand the math when I was arguing with makers that 100 episodes के बाद में the set is made, your investment, the cost of your basic investment has come back. Now is the time to make money. So it takes probably 50 episodes, 60 episodes because you've invested in clothes, costumes, actors, sets, marketing, हजार चीजें आपने इस पे खर्च किया है. तो आपका जो वो इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो आने के बाद में अब तो हम पैसे कमाएंगे. अब now जब तक हम पैसे कमाएंगे, let's keep making money. Let's make hay while the sun is shining is the concept. And nobody is secure, which I think because it's a corporate world, nobody is secure to believe that, okay, let's stop here and we'll come back. Nobody wants to take their chance because they're not makers. They're sitting there for business. It's an entertainment business. They are there to answer to their seniors. They are there because they are making money. And who would say, okay, fine, let's stop making money. We'll take a chance. You can only do that with yourself. I can take a chance on myself. But if I was working in a company, I wouldn't deliberately stop the income to come in. So that logic, I totally understand. But yes, they do start getting stretched. And my point was also that I don't want to die a natural death, which is people lose interest in you, in your show, and they say, okay, ho gaya. And that is when most of the shows go off air, when people stop watching the shows. I said, the best thing would be to always leave when you're on a high and then come back. Don't give everything to them. Keep something back so that they come back to you. But that logic, I think it doesn't work when it comes to corporates. And
it's so interesting, right? Because movies की box office release होती है, but TV shows का आपको TRP शायद पता चल जाए, but you never know cumulative over its entire lifetime वो show ने कितना कमाया, probably a lot more.
I mean, you're saying something that I used to say back in the day. You know, आप बोल रहे हो अभी 100 crore कमा लिए इसने. क्या मुझे बता सकता है कोई जो शो 8 साल चला होगा उसने कितने पैसे कमाए होंगे? But you've never given that because you're not seeing the numbers coming in. Only the broadcasters would know. But then people have such a short, what do I say, a very weird way of looking at things when they compare television to films. They wouldn't know that maybe some shows have made 500 crores, boss. You wouldn't even know. They have lasted for 8 years. 8 years every day, which means every day, even if you're making 10 lakh, 15 lakh rupees, imagine for 8 years how much money you must have made. Economics, because they're not spoken about, is why television is still considered, in terms of perception, a little inferior to films.
ये बात मुझे समझ में नहीं आती because we've just established TV shows में पैसा बहुत था, reach बहुत थी, you get to practice your craft, you get so much time on screen as well. सब कुछ है, फिर ये mindset क्यों था इंडस्ट्री में? Because even after you left, कहीं तो होगा, आपको बोला गया था अब मूवीज करना, अब टीवी पे मत जाना, बट यू एंडेड अप डूइंग टाइम बॉम्ब, 9/11, लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट. जब आमिर हिट हो गई तब वापस आपको बोला अब फिल्म आपकी हिट हो गई है, वापस टीवी पे मत जाना. यू डिड सच का सामना एट दैट पॉइंट एंड यू जस्ट आस्क्ड मी दिस क्वेश्चन, cannot name any big actor who actually went and did television. एक बार आप फिल्म करते थे, the mindset was कि नहीं अभी आपको फिल्म करनी चाहिए. Television was viewed as this stepping stone. There was some form of a hierarchy. Why did this exist?
Television community themselves, they made films look way superior and they probably lived with that inferiority complex themselves. Think of it, back in the day also, For all the reality shows for all the game shows that were coming on television, who were the judges? Why would they never get anyone from television? The television people themselves would not get any senior actor or a director from television to judge a show. They would get someone who's probably just done a couple of films. They would still get them to judge something on television.
हमारे special guest, special judge. हाँ.
India's, let's not name the shows, but there were shows where they could have easily got someone very senior from television industry to judge. But they would get someone probably who's not working in films also, but they think कि चलो ले आए वहाँ से. So क्यों television वाले खुद ही अपने आप को you're not pushing your own team, you're not pushing your own people to make them feel that they are at par or they are even better than the film industry. Film industry wouldn't do that because they think they are superior. The film industry thinks we are superior. So while they would use television to sell themselves when the time of promotions would come, सब रियलिटी शो पे आते थे वो लोग. So somewhere television खुद भी responsible है. दूसरी चीज ये मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि I do not know why it is the charm of big screen. Yes, I can totally understand that the charm of big screen was always there, that you want to be seen in the big screen and people come and clap in a theater. But that's again a thought in your head because you're not thinking calmly. You're not thinking that you are getting those claps every day in a house. You're just not seeing those claps which are happening in the household while watching television. For me, I used to feel that. I know that because when I was doing my first show, I knew that because I would go and I could see people in the households. We live in Mumbai, apartments. You're going up the lift, you're walking up the steps, and you can only hear your show at that time that chal raha hai, aapka show chal raha hai. It's an appreciation. It's a people was giving you a standing ovation every day. Is why I never thought that films were superior than television. I never got into films thinking that television हो गया मेरा, अब film करनी है. Is why I could do television, films, OTT, all of that because you keep telling me, you keep screaming in my ears, TV के film मत कर, film के बाद TV मत कर, अब OTT कर, ये कर, वो कर. There will always be people who would tell you and misguide you. I think somewhere you need to follow your voice. So for me, like you said that after Amir, when I was offered Sach Ka Saamna, I said, Sach Ka Saamna, it's a show that matters. So उस time पे I think तब भी perception यही था, आज भी यही है. क्योंकि TV actors भी I think somewhere they feel जैसी पहली opportunity मिली मुझे film, you would actually go and get yourself clicked with someone who is doing film. Then I don't know why would they only show a complex which is an inferiority complex, and which I think I have been fighting it, and I have been trying to educate people or tell people from my fraternity, which was television back in the day, listen, you are entertaining them as much as they are entertaining people, and probably a little more because you're doing it on an everyday basis. But वो divide रह गया, and I think somewhere जिस दिन टेलीविजन के लोगों को पद्मश्री मिलना शुरू हो जाएगा, जिस दिन टेलीविजन के लोग खुद जज करना शुरू करेंगे अपने शोज को, जिस दिन टेलीविजन की फ्रेटर्निटी खुद इज्जत देगी टेलीविजन के लोगों को, is the day when I think that parity will get lost.
आप ये कंपाइल करके मुझे एक ईमेल में भेज देना, मैं पब्लिश कर दूंगा इसको. बट या यू केप्ट फाइटिंग दिस परसेप्शन आफ्टर कहीं तो होगा. आपने टाइम बॉम्ब 9/11 की एंड देन यू पिक लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट ऑन सब टीवी, एंड काफी लोग ने आपको बोला डोंट पिक सब टीवी, मच स्मॉलर नेटवर्क. वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट द अप्रोच अर्लियर. डू यू हैव maybe extra responsibility or do you have to do something different? Because Star पे तो लोग वैसे भी है उस चैनल पे, उस पे ही रहेंगे. But if you have to convince people to switch off from that channel and go to a different channel and stay there, change the status quo, do you have to do something different to create the character more compelling so that people can actually switch over?
That's not what we do as actors. That's what the writing does. Firstly, ना writing आपके पास में. So I had an option of picking up anything because my character was so popular when I had quit, and I was getting offers from left, right, and center. And they were only trying to encash then because, okay, this Rajeev is very, very popular. So films ho, chahe wo dusre channels ho, everyone was coming to me with the script. And I was thinking in my head, like you just said, that yes, मैं कोई बड़े Star Plus का शो करूँगा, वो तो चली जाएगा. At least ratings 3 तो आ ही जाएगी और कुछ नहीं. Blank screen चलाओ तब भी आ जाएगी वो तो. And because something had happened when I was quitting, this not too many people know, but when I was quitting my first show, I was told that I would be reduced to a certain actor if I walk out of this one. Not too many people know this. It was a reason why I picked up. Not that I was thinking, "Abhi मैं क्या करूँ?" That one line used to reverberate. I mean, it used to just echo in my head that someone has said, "You will be reduced to a so and so channel actor because you're walking up, you're taking pangas with them." मैं सोचता था, मैंने कहा, "साला क्या करूँ मैं?" लाइफ में. Should I be उसी पे जाके करूं जहां मुझे बोला कि you'll be reduced to this one, उसी पे जाके करता हूं. अगर वो चल गया ना तो मेरा जवाब बहुत कड़क होगा. Is the reason why I was looking for it. So I knew that कि मैं किसी ने बोला और मैं अटेम्प्ट कर रहा हूँ एक और रोमांटिक शो और चल गया और बहुत भी नहीं चला तो कुछ नहीं किया हासिल लाइफ में. Take this one, and so I was waiting. So time bomb, by the way. Okay, so I'll say this. I was told Z was not working very, very well. I was told that you'll be reduced to a Z TV actor from Star Plus. I said, okay. तो मैंने Z पे जैसे ही मुझे वो टाइम बॉम्ब आया, मैंने मन में सोचा, मैंने कहा केतन मेहता के मैनन, ये हम सब हैं साथ में, एंड 24 का रीमेक था. मैंने कहा चल यार, अब तो Z TV एक्टर ही बन के रह जाते हैं. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. I think fortunately the show didn't work. There were no TRPs, and I said, oh shit, I've been reduced to a Z TV actor now. हो गया वो. But वो नहीं चला तो मेरा, so why I'm saying fortunately is because that gave me so much of strength. मैंने कहा अब तो इससे भी छोटा चैनल सब टीवी पे करता हूँ. I was just playing, I was gambling, and I said, okay, because of course things are written about you. You get affected. Nobody knew why I had quit the first show. They all thought he wants to do films because आपका perception ही हुआ है. तो आपको हर आदमी को लगता है कि because he wanted to do films is why he had quit television for the first show. तो किसी को पता नहीं था और आप हेडलाइंस पढ़ रहे हो अपने बारे में, बड़ी बड़ी हेडलाइंस दिखी कि ये देखिए ये अशर हो गया, बड़े ही अपने शाने बन रहे थे ये. It used to affect me, I would be honest. Not that I was completely so thick-skinned that it didn't affect me. बड़ी headlines. And then when this show came, I said, okay, this is something very, very new. Very, very new on a channel which is not known for stuff like this. Sub TV was not known to make shows like Left, Right, Left. It was they used to make comedies and वैसे छोटे शो बनाते थे वो. तो जब ये आया तो मैंने कहा इसमें पोटेंशियल है, चैलेंज भी है. What do I do? But ऑडियंस नहीं है. वो जो स्टार प्लस की ऑडियंस थी वो इतनी बड़ी ऑडियंस नहीं है. But can you get the audience? Can you get the audience? I think वही एक गैम्बल था कि चल करते हैं, and it worked. So if you look at again like we were saying कि लोग टीवी के बाद फिल्म्स के लिए मना करते हैं, इसके बाद ये मना करते हैं. लोग तो हर चीज के लिए मना करते हैं आपको गट you would probably must be want to do something and कि यार नहीं ये मत कर वो मत कर. So same thing, I mean if you look at my career graph, जो मैंने लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट के साथ में किया वही मैंने आगे चल के भी किया अपनी लाइफ में कि अपने नहीं करना मुझे OTT करना है या मुझे ये करना है.
Becoming an actor and becoming a star, are these two completely different professions? You have to make completely different decisions. Aapki paths are completely divergent. You won't be on the same path if you want to be a good actor or you want to be a big star.
You're asking someone who wanted to be a good actor but was in the first show itself was labeled as a star. Of course, I don't want to talk about others. There are people who actually would prefer being stars and not being actors because it's all about being written about. It's all about how you walk. How people look at you, perceive you, even though they may not have enjoyed any performance of yours, you still want to be the stars or so-called star. I think the concept of stars, of course, is gone. Whether it be television or be it films or be it anywhere. Stardom back in the day, I think it did not come to anyone who was not worthy of their stardom. Back in the day, let's say that we talk about superstars of yesteryears, not that they were out there to become stars. I think all of them came to become actors, and it's their work that made them stars or superstars. Mr. Bachchan, Mr. Rajesh Khanna, Vinod Khanna, anyone for that matter, be it Amjad Khan, be it all of those guys I'm talking about back in the day, even Shah Rukh Khan for that matter, you have to have something in you to be a star. Unfortunately, now so many shortcuts people think are available which can make them stars. But the real stardom is when their eyes light up when they look at you. They look for you. They look forward to seeing you. They look forward to seeing your work. तो अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको एक्टर बनना है, but लोग सोचते हैं because so-called stardom, now stardom also is, I mean, they call सोशल मीडिया की स्टारडम आपको मिल गई कुछ देर के लिए. तो स्टारडम की डेफिनेशन ही अलग होती जा रही है. आई डू नॉट नो सम स्टार्स यू डोंट इवन नो ऑफ. तो ऐसी स्टारडम का क्या फायदा है जिसका मैं आपको एक सिलेक्ट लोग ही आपको जानते हो. सो आई थिंक इफ आई वर टू आंसर दैट क्वेश्चन, आई वुड से फॉर मी, आई वांट टू बी एन एक्टर फर्स्ट एंड स्टारडम विल फॉलो. दैट्स व्हाट इट मीन्स टू मी. बट approach cannot be different. I think you cannot become a star if you have nothing in you. You can just be a temporary flash in the pan, which makes you believe that you are a star, just because you're flashing, but you are actually just a shooting star probably.
I asked this question because काफ़ी ऐसे moments आए आपके लाइफ में where you had to make a choice between becoming a good actor or a big star, and you always pick the craft, which I find very interesting. जब आप कहीं तो होगा छोड़ने वाले थे तो आपको डबल पैसे ऑफर कर दिया था, आपने बोला मुझे आधे दे दो पर मुझे क्वालिटी दे दो. We just spoke about you picking left, right, left. Once again trying to prove something to yourself. मुझे याद है एक फेज़ आया था मेरी लाइफ में 2013 में कि मैंने आमिर देख डाली and completely blew me over because that type of movie I wasn't aware. मैं तो at that point you're discovering yourself actively. Now you're starting to select what movies you're going to watch. बचपन में तो कोई भी मूवी आ रही आपने देख ली. At that point now you're actively picking the movies. I was like एक तो I wasn't aware stuff like this was being made. It was so fresh and the content was so different. तो फिर आपकी फिल्मोग्राफी देखी, फिर साउंड ट्रैक लुक्ड इंटरेस्टिंग, तो साउंड ट्रैक देख डाली. एक हफ्ते में आपकी 4 मूवी देख डाली. साउंड ट्रैक में देयर वाज अ सीन्स विद द जोकर, वो जो आप हेलुसिनेट कर रहे हैं, स्टफ लाइक दैट वाज नॉट बीइंग मेड एट ऑल. एंड देन टेबल नंबर 21 देखी, फिर शैतान देखी. एंड एट सम पॉइंट आई थिंक इन द एंटायर प्रोसेस स्टार्टेड ट्रस्टिंग यू एज अ परफॉर्मर कि अगर आपने कोई प्रोजेक्ट सेलेक्ट किया है, it'll be interesting, it'll be different, it'll make you think in some way. Was this a conscious choice that you were making at that point, or things just landed up? Abhi hindsight में it feels that way कि जो भी project आया आपने ले लिया, or this was something you were consciously trying to do?
नहीं, ये तो कभी नहीं था कि कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट आया तो मैंने ले लिया. बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स कर डाले होते मैंने. We discussed right in the beginning that I like not borrowing things from others. I don't even like borrowing ideas. I don't even like borrowing suggestions that कि ये ऐसे करोगे तो ऐसा होगा. You should be doing this. I think for me, as a personality, yes, I always wanted to do something different, something new, something which is mine, something which will not have a parallel. वो तो मेरे nature में था शायद, which kind of reflected in my choices also and in whatever I did in life also. So जब आमिर मैं कर रहा था तो मुझे नहीं पता था कि मैं किस में घुस रहा हूँ. मुझे वो स्क्रिप्ट इतनी अच्छी लगी थी that I said, okay, let's do this film. Once I did Amir, once I saw the reception that the film got, the love that the film got, and appreciation that the film got, it made me change my approach, because till then, even I had this whole idea that maybe I'll be singing and dancing and fighting and kicking people and emoting on a big screen. I never knew that something like Amir, something like as serious or as intense as Amir, could also generate the same reaction, the same love, where people say and clap for you, and a lot of things change. I used to go and watch the film in the theaters, and each time I would go and sit in the last seat, and the film would get over and I would hear people stand up and clap, and it was in front of my eyes. Me and Vikas, the producer, we used to go just to see कि reaction कैसा है, कितने लोग आ रहे हैं. हमेशा हाउसफुल, हमेशा एंड में खड़ों के तालियां बजती थी. तो अनरियल और सरियल होता था उस टाइम पे कि यार खड़े हैं. एंड आई यूज्ड टू समटाइम्स जस्ट वांट टू स्क्रीम दैट लिसन आई एम हियर. बट फिर वो नहीं करते थे हम लोग. बट देन चुपचाप बैठ के टू वॉच दैट, एंड देन आई सेड ओके, दिस इज माय पाथ, दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू डू, ब्रेक न्यू ग्राउंड्स. द सैटिस्फैक्शन दैट आई गॉट बाय डूइंग एन आमिर was way more than something that had a parallel. Let's say if it's a tried and tested for आपका subject है आपके पास में, आपने किया. Let's say if you have a known director, एक setup है, इंडस्ट्री में setup कहते थे, एक setup है जिसमें एक बड़ा प्रोडक्शन हाउस है, एक बड़ा डायरेक्टर है, फॉर्मूला है आपके पास में. कुछ नहीं तो लोग चलो ये 30-40 करोड़ तो बनाई लेगी फिल्म, इतना पुश कर देंगे हम इसको कि बनाई लेगी. मुझे वो करने में ज़्यादा खुशी मिलती है, या मुझे आमिर 2 करोड़ या 2.5 करोड़ की फिल्म आमिर करने में ज़्यादा खुशी मिलती है? मुझे 2.5 करोड़ की आमिर करने में ज़्यादा खुशी मिली, बिकॉज वी स्टिल डिस्कसिंग इट after so many years, and that genuinely gives me a high. And there will be many failures, not that everything that I've done has been like magical. There have been some choices that did not turn out the way it was promised, but my attempt was never corrupt. I mean, I never got corrupted thinking that okay, अब ये ना ऐसे इसके लिए कर ही लेता हूँ. चाहे वो फीवर हो, एक फिल्म मैंने की थी. I knew that the film, the scripting was mind blowing. It was a story which was unreal for me. But then execution went wrong, and then it turned out to be whatever. Will You Marry Me एक फिल्म मैंने और भी की थी, बड़ी ज़बरदस्ती मुझसे करवाई गई थी. हालांकि आदित्य दत्त टेबल नंबर 20 का डायरेक्टर है, उसने मुझसे करवाई थी. But I said, okay, let's throw myself sometimes to a challenge also. Can you do a slapstick comedy? देख तो सही ना, मतलब you are running away, but as an actor उसमें भी शायद मज़ा आएगा तेरे को. And that's why I did. So I did a couple of projects just to see whether I enjoy doing it or not. Not that I'm someone with a man of ideals who will only do certain things. As an actor, I want to challenge myself, and I want to see whether I can enjoy this also or not. So it was never that I picked up films to prove a point. I think it was just my desire and it's still there today. I want to do things which are mine, which do not have parallels, which either, I've used this term very, very often, it breaks new grounds. And for me, when I look back, I should feel, चाहे तूने फीवर की, चाहे तूने आमिर किया, शैतान किया, साउंड ट्रैक किया, टेबल नंबर 21 किया, सच का सामना किया, कहीं तो होगा किया, लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट किया, फिर तूने शो टाइम किया या सीक्रेट्स ऑफ शिलेदार किया. They were not routine. They were not reeking of anything which is like a formula. They were always things that were attempting to do something for the first time. And that's where our door comes into play. Men of unborrowed vision.
Sometimes you get a feeling when you watch an actor, you feel like this person gets it. Like, this is my person. मैं तो fan जैसे देख रहा हूँ, but you start trusting the person's choices and just like, okay, if this person's perspective I completely agree with, तो जो project को करेंगे, I will take it. And you're right, many things have to fall into place for something to work, but you're more appreciative of someone who has the intent to try something new, and even if that fails, you take the good out of it rather than just a formula. आपने business side के बारे में बात की, so this is very interesting. I would love to dive deeper into this. कि मुझे ज़्यादा खुशी मिल रही है 2 करोड़ 2.5 करोड़ फिल्म करने से. Is it even possible for a film like आमिर, जो आधे स्क्रीन्स में रिलीज भी नहीं होती, कि उसको 5 करोड़ की ओपनिंग वीकेंड मिले, 100 करोड़ का बॉक्स ऑफिस? Is it ever logistically possible for such a film to do it?
People have never understood this, and unfortunately, media also never ever educates people. It's so sad that when people who are senior people, who are so-called trade analysts, हमारी industry के experts, trade experts, and then they say this film made 35 crore and this one just made 3 crores. I mean, it is not even like 1/20th of this film, and then they try and position this one big film. They never mention that even if this film had 100% occupancy, it is only possible that it will make certain amount. For example, I release Amir in 250 screens. Even if all the screens go full house, the film cannot make more than 7 crores or 8 crores, whatever the figure is. सबका calculate कर लो ना कितना है. तुमने, okay, to help you understand, एक 10 screen में आपने एक film लगाई, उसकी full house, 100% capacity is getting you, let's say, $1,000. You release a film in 100 screens. If it goes full house, the capacity would be $1,000. 100 की जगह 1,000 हो गया. Now, आपकी ये 100% occupancy भी नहीं हुई, अगर 10% occupancy भी हुई, तो भी उसने 100 बना लिया, और इसने आपकी full capacity में भी उसको 100 ही बनाएगी. So people never understand that you have to see occupancy of a cinema hall. You release it in 5,000 screens, even if 20 people come and watch it, it will give you an opening of 5 crores because it's such a massive release. But is it a profit-making film? No, it is not. If your investment is 100 crores and if a film makes 100 crores, it is not a profit-making venture. It is a loss-making venture. But the perception is built so that maybe the actors or the producers or whatever, because the guys who lose money are the exhibitors or the distributors or people who finance the film. The rest of them have taken the money and then walked away. So they have to create a perception. It's a 100 crore film. Go and ask the exhibitors who have lost the money or the distributors who have lost the money. I'll help you understand from my film soundtrack. I'd done Amir and then I'd done Shaitan, and both of them were profitable films because investment was so low that the monies were recovered in whatever, 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever. Amir was actually, people will never understand this. The investment was 2.5 crores. The film ended up making 7.5 or 8 crores or something like that, which is like 3 times the money invested. It's a brilliant model for profit making in 2 weeks. And then the film has lived for so long. So it's also continuously getting royalties for the makers because it's being shown on certain platforms every now and then. Then I did Shaitan and then I did soundtrack. So when soundtrack was being released, the people at the production house, HMD Saregama, the producers came to me and they said, Raji, this is your hat trick. I said, how is this my hat trick? Tum to release ही नहीं हुई अभी. They said, we have sold it to distributors. So our investment अगर 6 crore का है या 5 crore का है, we have sold it for 8.5 to the distributors or whatever. So we have made money. So it's a hit because we made. I said, it could be you could have made money, but the film, for me to be called a hit, has to make that kind of money in the cinema halls. Now the film was so badly released because they didn't put any money for promotions. They said, हमें तो पैसे मिल गए हमारे, and they were going through a very rough patch because they'd made a film which had lost 30 crores just before soundtrack for Saregama. So they said, we have made our money. The company made money, and now the film was left to distributors. The film did not make money at the box office, so it wasn't a hat trick for me because my the way you will look at my hit would be from the box office collection. The producers made money, but the distributors lost a lot of money because the film never made 8.5 crores at the box office because the film was released in very, very limited number of screens and the film wasn't even promoted very well. So when you read about 100 crores, 200 crores, always please try and also figure out how many people actually went and watched that film. Maybe a film which has made 10 crores or maybe a film which has made 15 crores has had more number of people watching the film because the number of people who turned up in cinema halls were a lot more because here you are also doubling up the prices and it's just a very, very, it's a game that, I just feel that why is industry fooling the industry? We are fooling each other. We know about the numbers. We all know what are fudged, what are being just put out for the sake of perception. I think it's time that the producers and everyone should come together and say that, okay, no more malpractices. Let's not give fake numbers or let's not try and create perception at the expense of fooling people. So yeah, and because people get fooled and I know so many of them who would go to turn up in a cinema hall saying ki, "Arey, ye to film itna paisa bana rahi, dekhte hain jaake," and then you leave the film halfway. So you're actually fooling them to come into the cinema halls and then you leave the film halfway. आपने उनके पैसे ले लिए, ज़बरदस्ती उनसे छीन लिया, आपने उनको बेवकूफ़ बनाकर. तो even audience should start understanding that these numbers, please do not go by the numbers. Enjoy a film, enjoy a project. If you, and watch it if it calls out to you.
आपको लगता है कोई बबल बन रहा है फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में? You've also spoken at length कि ये जो एक्टर्स जो 30 करोड़ चार्ज कर रहे हैं, इंडस्ट्री ने उनको हाइप अप किया. जब वो 20-25 चार्ज कर रहे थे तब किसी ने उनको रोका नहीं. Just mention this whole machinery that's in place. This is very common nowadays कि agencies will buy out the first week of shows to give that sold out experience. भौकाल कैसा क्रिएट करेंगे एक मूवी के लिए? आपको लगता है this is clearly not a sustainable model? There's a bubble that's going to burst. It's already bursting. What's going to happen in the industry in the future?
History says it, history says it all, that when it becomes अति जब हो जाती है तो फिर वो फट जाता है मामला. I think, but human beings are greedy by nature. They will never ever think, okay, हम करेंगे. They will always think कि उसने किया था मैं भी कर लेता हूँ ना यार. मेरे अकेले के करने से क्या होगा? वो तो रुक नहीं रहे. It's just like you throw garbage out of a house. क्या मेरे इतना फेंकने से क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? सब के सब तो फेंक ही रहे हैं. It just becomes a mindset. Unless collectively everyone falls together, then you hold each other's hand and say कि हमें बाहर निकलना है. So I think it will never stop. It will never stop. It will only stop when everything is going to collapse. When you will realize that कि we are fighting each other. When we realize that कि हो गया बहुत perception, लेकिन we are actually digging a grave for ourselves. Then only it will stop. Otherwise, it's human nature to just try and make hay while the sun is shining, because you do not know what is going to happen once the sun sets. तो आपको लगता है कि भैया, तो ये मुझे लगता नहीं है कि बातचीत में ऐसा कभी होगा. अब तो नए तरीके निकलते आ रहे हैं. We had never heard of corporate buys. So now that you have done कि अच्छा ये स्पेस खरीद ली, ये कर लिया, एक टिकट पे दूसरा फ्री कर लिया परसेप्शन बनाने के लिए, अब क्या करें? पहले दिन का कलेक्शन दिखा देते हैं. ठीक है, मैंने चार्ज किया ना 30 करोड़, 10 करोड़ तो मेरे ले लो भैया. Let's buy corporate bookings. You go and distribute tickets in schools and colleges, which is, I don't know. On one side, I also say it, in the same breath I'm saying, it's a business. तो business में like they say, साम दाम दंड भेद, आपको तो पैसा कमाना है. तो कभी कभी मैं पूछता हूँ अपने आप से कि यार तुझे इतना खराब क्यों लगता है? यार why do you feel that this is wrong? This is in every industry. चाहे वो building industry हो, चाहे कोई और industry हो, they will do everything possible to make money, and that's what these people are doing. So I think शायद एक तरीके, if you change the perception, it could be correct also that you're not here for charity, you're not here for social work, you're here to make money. It's a business by the end of it.
अगर आज मुझे इंडस्ट्री एंटर करने, you were someone who was not from the industry and you've seen all the challenges in place. Do I still have to play this game? कि मुझे भी ये PR ब्रांडिंग का गेम खेलना पड़ेगा, पैपराजी को मुझे इनवाइट करना पड़ेगा, मुझे रिव्यूज़ खरीदने पड़ेंगे, फैशन शो में गेस्ट बनना पड़ेगा, फिर वो मेरे लिए अच्छे रिव्यूज़ देखेंगे, अवार्ड्स खरीदने पड़ेंगे. You've also faced casting couch situations. Does this all still exist in the industry? Is this a game that I have to play? Because if I don't play, they'll label me as tough to work with, arrogant, not easy to work.
Now, if you don't have a mind of your own, then you will have to follow this boss. But if you have a mind of your own, then you will have to weigh the options. You will have to always, if you can hear your voice and not hear the voice what others say, because others are going to tell you this. यही बात है. यही बात है, करना पड़ता है बॉस. क्या कर रहा है तू? दिखना पड़ता है अवार्ड फंक्शन में. It's almost about 23-24 years of me being part of the industry. From day one, I've been hearing this. It's been 23 years. Now people come and say to me that यार अब तो क्या बोलें तेरे को? मतलब you have lived your talk. you kind of आज भी तो वही करता है. So there are always options, not just here, but I think there are always options in every career where there are people who will follow an average out of 10 people. Average would be that, okay, एक तरीका है इंडस्ट्री में काम करने का जिसमें आप करो. PR is why most of the people who do not have a mind of, they don't fall victim to this philosophy. It's why you will see so many people who don't look very intelligent to me. When they walk out with some people and when they get clicked and when they are doing things in front of the paparazzi and trying to get attention. I don't think that gets you work. That may just get you probably, that also you have to buy spaces. It's just, if you do not believe in yourself, maybe then you'll have to rent out support. But is that the only model? No, that is not the only model. At least I can vouch for myself. While I was navigating my way through this cacophony of people telling me PR karna padta hai, ye karna padta hai, aise nahi hota hai. I just said, okay, I'm going to be myself. Let's see what happens. And I don't want to again borrow help from PR. I don't want to borrow help from anybody else or an agency who's going to position me in a certain way that, okay, fine, we're handling. Is why I just have a manager. I refused to join any agency because I knew that if they have 5 actors or maybe 10 actors in the roster, they would sell them like commodities. Ye nahi hai to ye raha. Ye nahi hai to ye raha. And I wanted to be a part of every writer, director's imagination because after a certain point, I'm saying. Or if you do not know me, I'll come and test for that. But I followed my voice. I followed my belief system, and nothing happened. I survived. If somebody has to answer this question, they can look at other models and they can look at my model. They can actually say, हमें राजीव का मॉडल नहीं बनना है because हमें तो यहाँ पहुँचना सीधा. So if they think that is how you want to reach there, and if you think that you could do it this way, please go and try it. Not that I'm a very successful model for many people. They'll say कि नहीं यार हमें इतना नहीं जाना, हमें इतनी अपनी आवाज़ नहीं सुननी, हमें इस समय करना है. When you come from Kahin to Hogas and left, a lot of things change in your life. I do not work for what a lot of people would be working for, which is fame. I don't work for fame. I work for more for my satisfaction and for giving it back to all those people who have given me so much love. I do it also to live up to their expectations. I know that they have invested so much in me. Also alters it influences my choices, by the way. We were talking about why do I pick up? I forgot to mention this. I also feel a sense of responsibility. Like you said, if it's Rajiv's work, you would give it a sneak peek that, okay, dekh to leta hu kya Rajiv kya kar raha hai. And I hear that very, very often. So there is a sense of responsibility also, is why I'm not careless to pick up anything. या आप कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे तो पैसे कमाने के लिए कर लेते हैं. या सोशल मीडिया पे जाके चलो यार, let's start doing collabs and let's start doing anything. There is a sense of responsibility because I know that people have really, really invested their time and love on me and I have to give it back to them. So I feel indebted. So I'm saying there is one model which is like me. Choice is yours. There are all kinds of models.
Before we wrap up, I have to ask you about reality shows as well. हमने TV की बात की, daily soaps, films की बात की, OTT की बात की. Reality shows is a different beast altogether. आपको बोला गया था आमिर के बाद कि वापस टीवी पे मत जाना, but then सच का सामना came, which you've said is one of the best reality shows in Indian history. और पहले आपको लगा कि एक दिन में 2 एपिसोड कर लेंगे, but then you quickly realized how heavy it was going to be, how much of a toll it's going to take on you. हर दिन सेट पे एम्बुलेंस होती थी, डॉक्टर्स होते थे, आप घर जाके बेड पे कूदते थे, so that show doesn't affect you. Is this a challenge for many actors कि if you're immersing yourself in heavy subjects, dark subjects, it can actually affect your mental, physical health?
In terms of characters, it does affect you if you are really living that character. If you're really living that character, it does. For example, soundtrack. It did, because I was trying to live it off the sets also. Trying to. कि चल यार मैं रौनक ही हूँ. तो मैं करता था. It did affect me. Sach Ka Saamna, it's a reality show though. Being part of that show, it did affect me. It also affected my wife who was with me. Because she would see a different Rajiv. उसको बात नहीं करनी है. शाम को he's made his drink and he's just sitting and he's just thinking. Because I was also thinking about the life story that unraveled in front of my eyes today and which is going to unravel again tomorrow in front of me. So you're working on it. So it does affect you because you're humans by the end of it. And if you are a human and if you connect to human beings, it is definitely going to affect you. A show like Sach Ka Saamna, I do not know how others would have dealt if they were hosting it. And I think there's a reason why I hosted the show, because somewhere when Siddharth Basu picked me up, when Howard picked me up, Howard was the guy who was the curator of the show, original show from US. So he used to go and pick up the hosts in every country the show was being made. So he was there and he picked me up, and I know why they picked me up, because when I was doing my audition for the show, I understood the DNA of the show, and I went there and I said, do not give me the script, I'm going to do it. Also, I didn't stand anything to do. I mean, there was nothing for me to lose because I didn't have dates. So Kiya maine, and Babu keeps telling me that Siddharth Basu, sorry. Babu keeps telling me, and used to tell me back in the day, that there's a reason why you are doing this show. Because I used to also wonder that they have options of picking up anyone, because Siddharth Basu was doing shows where he had the most celebrated names from the entertainment industry. So to get me to host something as big as this and as popular as this world over, he told me that I need someone who I believe is not judging anybody. I want a host who I know is human, who I know is a kind human. Not that I'm a kind human, but he said, I want my host to represent these qualities. So you sitting there makes me believe that there is someone who is not judging. The biggest thing was someone who is not judging, and someone who can connect, who can feel, who can do, who can really talk and not read something from a teleprompter. Is why I did that show. Because I was part of that show, it did affect me, because I was feeling them just the way I would feel for myself or for people who are close to me. And that's what I'm saying. I do not know how others would have done it. And it would be interesting to see someone else host that show. And I go and ask them their experience, because for me, it was a very, very close quarter wala experience when you're sitting with someone and looking into the eyes, asking those questions.
अगर मैं show को host कर रहा हूँ, do you just approach it as any other acting job? You're playing a character on screen, or it's very different when it's a reality show? You don't approach it like an actor.
I've been told that some people approach it like the actor, so they can't get the actor out of themselves.
Persona play कर रहे हैं.
हाँ, so मुझे ऐसा बोला गया कि राजी ये नहीं करना है. Like Babu used to tell me when I was there, and thankfully मेरा कोई ऐसा persona नहीं था, एक romantic image थी मेरी. तो Babu used to tell me that okay, firstly you are going to be you. So वो जब we were doing our workshops, is something that he told me that many actors cannot disown or go away from the persona that they have built. So उनको वही बनना है, उसमें भी आपको वही style से बात करनी है, वो करना है. So I think some actors do, because that's what I was taught. But for me, I think I had to let go. I had to be Rajeev. I'm doing something very soon again after Sach Ka Saamna. Very soon I'll be doing something again. And now it's been many, many years since I've hosted a show. So I'm working on it, and I know that what I should be doing. But I think the right way of hosting a show would be to forget that you are an actor, to just be one of them, and to just be a catalyst in taking the show forward. And because you are not the show, one should understand this. And this is what I keep telling myself, that I am not the show. The show is this format, these people who come as guests, they are the show. I'm just a medium to kind of carry this whole thing. So that's how I look at myself. And that's, I think, how I would like to believe that a host should be.
This has been a great book of insights. मैं notes लेता जा रहा हूँ in this masterclass. I could keep picking your brains, but I have to start wrapping up. But so far, it's been very, very valuable. Before we go into the last 3 questions, I would love to know आपने क्या masterpiece बनाया है Lego के साथ, और फिर क्या लगता है मैंने क्या बनाया?
तूने बना भी दिया, okay.
पहले आपने क्या बनाया?
तो मेरे तो थॉट चल रहे थे, मैं पता नहीं क्या बना रहा था. At some point I was making obstacles in life. I said all kinds of obstacles are there, छोटे बड़े बड़े छोटे. Then I'm also a rider, I was saying. So it all started off, I think somewhere subconsciously I saw this as the gymnastics में एक horse होता है जिसके ऊपर आप jump करके जाते हो, तो मैं वो बहुत करता था. And also while show jumping I used to again jump over obstacles. Then I said, yeah, while we were only talking about obstacles in life, and I said, okay, there are all kinds of obstacles in life. ये भी कूद गए, छोटा वाला है इसको भी कूद गए, ये भी कूद गए. ये मैंने बड़ा बना दिया था यहाँ पे बात करते करते.
तो और भी आपके obstacle course का मैंने
actually just it just fits in. See the ladder also, there are different steps, there's a different which will climb. Sometimes it will be very difficult. Sometimes it could be just very easy. Sometimes it could be you could be hanging by the cliff, boss.
Masterpiece. मैं बोलता हूँ auction करेंगे इसको. Last 3 questions. What are some books, movies, role models that have strongly inspired you?
कुछ नहीं, मैं तो हार्वर्ड तुझे पता है, मैं बोल ही रहा था कि that Ayn Rand, I think Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged are 2 things that I have influenced me in life
Why?
a lot. I think they were real people. If you read Fountainhead, there are many characters. Now anyone can influence you because they're all emotions. Let's say if there are 8 emotions, 7 emotions, every character represents an emotion. And they're as real as they can be. So I think that's one thing that really influenced me, to be real and get influenced by real characters. Films, I have never been influenced by films. I do not know what has influenced me in life. I think people have influenced me in my personal life. One of my teachers had influenced me a lot. I just knew his story and I was with him. And when I went to take an award from Rajiv Gandhi, you must have read somewhere that also.
Essay competition.
Essay writing competition. So I took him with me because I was really influenced by the way he was living. He did not live an ideal life, but it was something about him that left an influence on me. There have been people I've worked with who have influenced me. I'm talking about not in terms of film industry. I'm talking about people I've worked with at home. My team. They've really influenced me by the sheer loyalties and their focus and their honesty and things like that. But if you ask me, people, I think Shah Rukh Khan has definitely is someone that I've looked up to in terms of his approach. Influenced me? No. But I will say that when I hear Shah Rukh back in the day also, even now, when I hear him speak, I kind of admire and appreciate the honesty that comes with the way he speaks. And there are not too many people. There are not too many people like him who speak, who mean what they speak. So I think that he is someone who I look up to as a person, as an individual. And other than that, no, in terms of performances, Mr. Bachchan, while growing up, did influence me. Not influence me again, but I thought that he was so versatile. So versatile. Be it hosting, be it different genres. He never, again, became a slave till a certain point, I would say, of his own image. Beyond that, when he became Mr. Bachchan, I think somewhere I feel that Mr. Bachchan, his personality became so much bigger than Mr. Bachchan that even he gets sometimes, I think, cowed down by Mr. Bachchan's image, which is very, very natural also, I guess. So otherwise not. I'm not someone who gets influenced, and I would tell the viewers also, listeners also, that try and not be someone else. You could pick up things from people, but just be yourself. I mean, that's what I did. I have no inspiration, if you ask me. I have inspiration from incidents from my own life. I draw a lot of strength from my past. When you've fallen and you've risen, and that gives you strength, not by borrowing it from somebody else. I borrow it from my past experiences only.
आपने वो ऐसे competition की बात की थी, उसका thesis था War begins in the minds of men, and your opening line was war is the manifestation
of the dormant animal in mankind.
Heavy stuff. I like it.
No, but that wasn't my line. I copied it from somewhere.
All creativity is inspired, apart from our obstacle course.
Yeah.
Last 2 questions. What would you like your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
I don't think much about it. How would I like to be remembered? I just want to be... I only think about my present. I only think about for as long as I'm living. When I look into people's eyes who know me, they should probably just give a very pleasant smile to me. That's it. I do not think what happens when I am not there. I do not think of afterlife. I do not think of anyone, मेरे tombstone के ऊपर क्या लिखा होगा या कुछ ऐसा चीज़ें होंगी. I think for as long as I'm alive, as long as I'm able to connect with people, as long as I'm able to get their love, I think that should be it. So मैं ये नहीं सोचता कि मेरे जाने के बाद क्या होगा, मेरे काम को लोग देखें. बहुत सारे एक्टर्स हैं, बहुत सारे टैलेंटेड लोग हैं दुनिया में जो कि काम करते हैं, चले जाते हैं, वो हम देखते रहते हैं. बट इतना ज़रूर है कि जब तक हम हैं, तब तक that love, that affection, that niceness, I want to feel that, I want to give it, and I want to get it. Simple.
रिपोर्टर्स के लास्ट एपिसोड में आप कहते हैं जिंदगी में जो करना है वो जाने से पहले करना है.
See here, it's connected so beautifully to what I said. I don't want any legacy. जो करना है जाने से पहले करना है.
पूरा याद है आपको? जिंदगी में जो सपने देखे हैं
जाने से पहले पूरा करने हैं. जिंदगी में जो जताना है जाने से पहले जताना है. जिंदगी में जो हासिल करना है जाने से पहले हासिल करना है. क्योंकि जिंदगी में अंत सिर्फ एक बार होता है और तब तक हर अंत एक शुरुआत होता है. I had written these lines by the way when I was doing this.
और आपने कहा this has become your mantra in life. So you're clearly someone who's given a lot of thought to life and its meaning. तो आखिरी क्वेश्चन बहुत आसान है आपके लिए. What is the meaning of life, Rajeev Khandelwal?
मैं बता डीप नहीं जितना सोच रहा है. For me, it is just a phase that you should be aware of that I'm a passing phase in this world. Because when you look at others and when you look at life stories of others, I'm talking about people who were 100 years back or 200 years back. If you think about Hitlers, you think about Gandhis, they were a phase. They came. The larger thing is the universe. You're just a phase, passing phase, and you'll pass away. Just that phase is what you've got to live. So I try and live every moment of my life. That is what means to me, every moment. There are times when I wake up in the morning and I say, I will not waste a second and just change. Sometimes when you are kind of, let's say, a little under pressure, you have, let's say, you're carrying a certain amount of weight because of work or because of other things. I do not know. I wake up in the morning and I say, every moment is passing. Every moment is passing. Could I have, in this moment, done something that would bring a smile on my face, on the face of some people who are around me, and just changes my whole game. It changes my approach. I can sulk in this moment, or I can make this moment into something that may just turn around someone else's moment. So it's all about moment. Life is a moment for me. Live that moment to the fullest. Do not grieve. Do not fret. Do not waste time over things that are not happening. I think it's just the moment. You could spend that moment in the way you want to. But if you were to give advice to me, you would also say, Rajeev, live that moment. So apply it to yourself. Live that moment.
Live limitlessly has been one of the mantras of your life. Rajeev, Thank you so much for your time. This has been an honor and a privilege for me. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful speaking to you, Shalaj. Wish you all the best. May you have more intelligent and deeper and fun conversations with many, 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 many of us.
This is no time. If you liked what you just watched or listened to, then please consider subscribing on YouTube, follow on Spotify, rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. This project is a labor of love, but cannot survive on love alone. Every day I fight a losing battle with what's trending or what the algorithm thinks will work. But I think conversations of value can work. There is an appetite for it, but I've stopped trying to fight the algorithm. So if you want to see this project continue, please consider making a donation on Patreon or become a YouTube member for less than $1 a month. YouTube members get early access to all these videos, which are ad-free. If not through financial channels, then do consider sharing these episodes, leaving your likes and comments. All forms of engagement, they really go a long way, especially shares. They're gold dust for a show of this nature because these 2-hour, 1-hour conversations, they will never get pushed by the algorithm. It's only through your support that can happen. If not through likes and shares, then you can consider following this channel on Instagram or Twitter or follow me personally.